Good evening, everyone. We will bring this Brawley Council meeting to order. Regular meeting scheduled for Tuesday, February 21st at 6 p.m. And if we can have roll call, please.
Councilmember Miranda.
Present.
Councilmember Kelly. Councilmember Campbell. Mayor Nava.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Couchman.
Here.
All right, if we could have our invocation by Pastor Tom Charlton from Full Gospel Church, please.
Precious Heavenly Father, we're so thankful tonight that we can approach the throne of grace and ask for your goodness and your favor upon this council and upon the meeting that will be here tonight. Lord, we do ask that you would give council the benefit of your knowing ahead of time. Lord, we pray that you would guide them in the decisions that they have to make tonight and for the things that they're going to have to think over before making that final decision. Lord, we pray that everything will go well, that you will receive honor from the meeting, and that everyone, when they leave, will say, it's been a good meeting. And we ask all of this in the precious name of Jesus. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you, Pastor. Will you join me in the Pledge of Allegiance, please? Ready? Begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, everyone. The next item on the agenda is the approval of the agenda. Is there a motion to approve the agenda?
So move. Second.
There's a motion to approve the agenda. There's a second. Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Moving on to the next item on the agenda. We're going to go a little out of order in tonight's meeting. We are going to go into closed session. That is because we have existing litigation. We have out of town counsel. So we're going to address this issue first. And once we come back into open session, we'll inform you all. So for the time being, we are going to go into closed session. The next item on the agenda is public appearances comments, not to exceed 4 minutes. This is a time for the public to address the council on any item not appearing on the agenda that is within the subject matter jurisdiction of the city council. The mayor will recognize you, and when you come to the microphone, please state your name for the record. You are not allowed to make personal attacks on individuals or make comments which are slanderous or which may invade an individual's personal privacy. Please direct your questions and comments to the city council. And if I could remind you, please use the microphone that is to your left here, to our right. It is being filmed for broadcast later. So if there's anybody who would like to make a public appearance or comment, now's the time.
Good evening, board members. I'm Carol Sassy. I'm a board of trustee for Brawley Union High School, and I'm here tonight to introduce our superintendent who has been with us for approximately 3 months. This is, where'd you go? Dr. Hasmik Danielian. So.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of the City Council, City Manager. It is my honor to be here and serve as the Superintendent of Brawley Union High School District. I look forward to working in close partnership with the city, along with all the community organizations. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr.
Very nice and very quick.
Thank you for that introduction. If there's anybody else who would like to make a public appearance or comment, seeing none, we'll move on to departmental reports. Item A is Karen Morgan, Parks and Recreation Director.
Hi, Karen Morgan, Director of Parks and Recreation. Just a quick note on the Imperial Valley Bicycle Classic this weekend at Cattle Call Park. They had more than twice as many participants as last year, 290 cyclists from all over Southern California and Arizona. They had 55 5K runners, over 600 spectators. The Brawley PD and the Border Patrol both helped with the rodeo and the safety checks on bicycles. They served up to 40 youth and provided helmets, all that they had. Everyone considered it a wonderful day and a success, and they hope to build on that. And I think everybody came down there throughout the day and checked things out. So that's just what I wanted to update you on. I think people enjoyed the day.
Fantastic. Thank you.
Thank you, Carmen.
Mr. Mayor, I just want to note that the not only was the weather amazing, but staff were smiling.
Are you saying that they don't typically?
No, they were smiling even though they were working during the
Right.
day on a Saturday. So that was really nice to see. We had lots of city volunteers as well, and we had our very own city engineer participating in the 5K run, and she was awesome. She'd been sick for a lot of last week, so it was pretty amazing. She made it to the finish line.
Fantastic. Well, great job.
That's Brawley's motto, working together with pride.
That's right. That's right. Our next departmental report is item B, Marjo Mello, from Library Director.
Hi, good evening.
Good evening.
On April 27th, we have an author coming to visit the Valley, and all the libraries have gotten together for a new program called IV Reads, and we're all going to read the same book. And it's called Wet Desert by Gary Hansen. It is a thriller where there's an eco-terrorist who would like to blow up the dams along the Colorado River so that the river reverts to the way it should have been a long time ago. And we brought a copy for each of the council members. So you have your own, and the instructions are to read it. And no, you do not have to do a book report, because I get that a lot.
That was my next question.
But pass it along, please, because we'd like the more people to read it, the better. And when he comes that night, we can ask him questions. He's going to talk for a while, but we can ask him questions. He'll sign copies and all that kind of good stuff. So I tucked him underneath before. So
April 27th, that's a Friday.
it's a Friday night, and we'll have lots of water-related prizes for a raffle, including a car wash, tickets, pool passes, which we're hoping to get.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And a couple other things like that that are water-related. We're having fun trying to come up with them. So we're having a really good time with it. So, and I don't think Dennis got one yet. And Brawley's got the Friday night program, and the City of Imperial will have a Saturday afternoon program. So we want to invite everybody.
Thank you, Marjo, for that information. We appreciate it.
Thank you, Marjo.
The next item on the agenda is departmental report, item C. It's personnel and risk management, and it's going to be presented by our city manager, Rosanna Bayon-Moore.
So just wanted to provide a quick update. As you may recall, at a previous meeting, we indicated a small project that will be undertaken at the finance department to make some ergonomic improvements. They're taking place this evening. We should be back up and running tomorrow morning to receive our utility billings. And we are using a local contractor, George Mitchell Builders, to perform that work. So we're looking forward to an improved workspace for the finance department. And Shirley and Ruby have both been working very hard to make this happen.
Thank you for that information. The next item on the agenda is the consent agenda. Items are approved by one motion. Council members or members of the public may request consent items that be considered separately at a time determined by the mayor.
It is staff's request that the December 2011 special meeting minutes be pulled for revision, and the specific revisions are available on at your workspace.
And the revisions consist of corrections to the minutes, is that?
They are, and if you'd like me to draw them out, I can briefly review them. They are indicating that the 60 units, this is pertaining to the Florentine Estates request for condition modification. The edits that have been made is point stated as 0.5 under the pro comments. The 60 units will be built out over an extended 1.5-year period. It is also noted on the final page that the motion that was made was to accept the Planning Commission's recommendation to allow 40 total units to be constructed and occupied prior to the completion of Pano Drive. That motion and second were made by Councilmember Miranda and Mayor Nava. The aye votes were Miranda and Nava, and the no votes were Campbell, Couchman, and Kelly, which meant the motion failed. So those corrections are noted on the first condition requested for modification by the developer. The second motion that was made was relative to the interior street parking, and the language change suggests that should the applicant wish to pursue interior street parking, that the width of the private streets need to be consistent with public works standards as well as access needs expressed by the fire department, and that motion was successful. Those were the only changes that were part of the revised minutes from December 20th.
Thank you for that clarification. And if we were approving the consent agenda to approve the minutes, I noticed that it is listed here as the special, so we're approving these revised minutes, right? Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So move.
Is there a second?
Second.
There's a motion and a second. All those in favor, any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you for that. The next item on the agenda is regular business. Item A of regular business is to approve request from Hidalgo Society to paint a mural at Hinojosa Park Handball Court.
We have a presentation for our Parks and Recreation Director.
Karen Morgan, Parks and Recreation. On behalf of the Hidalgo Society staff is requesting City Council approval to paint a mural on the Hinojosa basketball courts. They'd like to do this in the next couple of months and pay tribute to some of our local baseball professional heroes in town. We passed it around to all the department heads. Everyone thinks it's a really good idea. We will sit down with them, and I did make it clear that the maintenance is always going to be a concern because we do, on occasion, have some type of graffiti, and they said they would be happy to work with us, and they want to make sure that they play a role in maintaining that. So we will clearly work that through the process, but we are in support of the concept, and we think it will be an improvement to the area.
Thank you. I did speak to Mr. Reyes with the Hidalgo Society today. He had mentioned that he would be here at this meeting today, but unfortunately it doesn't look like he was able to make it. I had a couple of questions for him, and some of the questions that I had were with respect to time, how long the mural would last there, the final concept, and if they were going to get community input in determining what would be on or what would be painted at the handball court. And he answered those questions to me. He did say that he plans on bringing the item back before council, that they are getting community input. It would be a community art project, and that we will have final approval before it is installed. So, those are the questions that I had. I'm not sure if the council had other concerns.
That's about it.
So it will come before council before it's finally approved. But I would make a motion, we approve the request from Hidalgo Society to paint a mural at Hinojosa Park, Handball Court. Of course, it needs to come back before council for final approval.
Second.
There's a motion, there's a second. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Karen.
Thank you very much.
And I'll wait on Mr. Campbell. Councilmember Campbell is coming in here. He's coming back here. Mr. Campbell. So the next item on the agenda is regular business item B. It's a first reading of ordinance number 2012 ordinance of the City Council of the City of Brawley, California, establishing a no parking zone at South El Cerrito Drive and Catacol Drive within Catacol Park.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor, council members. Yasmin Arellano, Public Works Director. Periodically, the engineering department receives requests from residents, from the public, or from city staff to evaluate unsafe conditions. Some of the work that is done in order to evaluate these conditions are manual traffic counts, pictures, and input from the Traffic Safety Committee, which is formed from with all the department heads. A resident-initiated concern was presented to the City of Brawley Administration Office in regards to the unsafe conditions at South El Cerrito Avenue between Allen Street and Catacol Drive. They mentioned that the street was too narrow to handle two-way traffic and parking on both sides of the street. After we did some research, the Traffic Safety Committee recommended to allow for northbound and southbound traffic, and also to restrict traffic on one side of the street, and which would be the east side of the street. In addition to this no parking zone, the Catacol Park project for the bicycle and pedestrian park path was completed during the month of January of 2011, and as part of this project, no parking on asphalt signs were installed. Cars keep parking on the asphalt and blocking the pedestrian and bicycle lanes. In order for us to be able to enforce this no parking regulation, the council would need to adopt this ordinance, not allowing the parking on the asphalt. The cost of the improvements will be minimal, just to purchase materials and installation of signs.
Installation.
Right.
That's on the north end of Catacol Drive, right?
No, sir. It would be on all around the park on Catacol. It's also called Catacol Drive. It begins at the intersection of Catacol Drive and Willard Avenue, and it goes all around the park. And it allows you to park at different locations, such as the north side of the park and the gravel. And also there's another parking area, which is south of Rotary Park.
Mr. Couchman, Mayor Pro Tem Couchman, comment?
Yes, I visited both sites in the last couple of days. I looked at the El Cerrito, and I've had to travel that at night because it's near the location of my home, and it is very narrow. And at night, it could pose a problem with cars parked because it only allows one car to go through there at that time with cars parked on both sides. I also looked at how it might affect the residents of that area. Part of that is there's a parking lot on the one side, and then there's the apartment building on the other, and then on down, there's some vacant area in there. I think it would have a minimal effect on the residents. It might affect one or two of the residences there on the Allen side of that street. However, I think it's probably unsafe to leave it that way, and so I'm in favor of the no parking on the east side. They can still park on the west side, and there is some congestion in parking when for the convalescent facility that's located there. As far as the Catacol Arena go, there's plenty of areas to park off the pavement, and I don't know, and I think that's perfectly okay. I don't think that'll pose any kind of hindrance to anyone. So I'm in favor of both those issues because of that.
Honorable Mayor, the Traffic Safety Committee will be reviewing other locations, also present similar situations such as having a narrow street, and such as the north area of South El Cerrito between J Street and Allen Street, and we'll be bringing to council a recommendation at a later time.
Thank you. Is there any other comments from council on this item? Our city manager, any comment? What's the pleasure of council?
I'm in favor. We'll just wait until the safety committee comes and makes a final report to us, and then we'll vote it in. Or unless you want to,
This is
the first reading.
I move that we accept the first reading, number 2012.
And I second that.
There's a motion to approve in a second. All those any discussion? I'm sorry. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. First reading of the ordinance number 2012. Ordinance of the City Council, City of Brawley, California, establishing a no parking zone at South El Cerrito Drive and Catacol Drive within Catacol Park.
Would you take a roll
Thank
call?
you.
You need to take roll
Yes.
call. Thank you.
It's an ordinance. Councilmember Miranda,
Yes.
Councilmember Kelly,
Yes.
Councilmember Campbell,
Yes.
Mayor Nava,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Couchman.
Yes.
Thank you. The next item on the agenda is regular business item C, review and discussion of mid-year City of Brawley budget. It's going to be presented by our finance director.
Good evening, Mayor, council members, Ruby Walla, Finance Director. Tonight, we're going to give you with the budget, update on the budget through December 2011. What we're looking at here, we'll give you a summary of what was approved, actually May of last year. What you have here is just a summary. The total approved revenues is 41 million. Total budget, operating budget is 45 million. And what you're looking at the bottom there is actually what we've designated in general fund reserves of the 1.1 million. That's what we're looking at or projecting to utilize this fiscal year. And what the ending balance is what we would have. That's all combined balances, all city balances. Here for the total city budget again, the summary is the approved is 41 million. Of that to date, total revenue, this is total city budget, all funds, 19 million. So we're at 46%. Expenditures of 45 million, we're at 19 in expenditures at this point and 43%. And again, these are total, all funds, citywide, general fund, water, wastewater, solid waste are all included. General fund, which we'll elaborate more on the general fund. Again, approved budget for the general fund and for revenues is 12 million. Of that to date is only at 4.8 million, and that's at 38%. I'll go in more detail in the next slide as far as what impacts that we've seen, the factors that affect the 38% at 50% of the year. Expenditures at this moment of the 13 million, we've already spent 7.5, which is at 54%. What we have listed here are major revenue sources of the general fund, and I'm also making notation of any variances and the timing of revenue, which basically when we receive such revenue. Property taxes, we receive 3 allocations out of the year, normally in December, which is 55%. April 40%, and then July we received the remaining 5% or so. And at this point, we're at 53% in property tax from compared to budget. Significant revenue source is the vehicle license fees that we receive. Currently, it's 0 because usually we don't receive it until January. So as of today, we have received funds for the VLF. And then we receive another distribution in May. So that's about, in the budget at this point, and it's $2 million that we're anticipating in receiving for VLF. Sales and use tax, what we've noted here is at 34%, and this is actually lower than last year this time. Last year this time we reported a 58% in budget to actual comparison. The impacts there, again, we did factor in the budget. We did increase the projected budget as far as to recognize the increase that we saw last year. So there is that variance there. It was at 1.3 last year, and I believe it's at 1.5 this year that we projected for sales tax. So we're still anticipating, in January, again, we received the sales tax or the revenue is received the month following. So say in January, we receive whatever was received was due to us from December and so forth. Utility users tax is at 48%, and this is something that we do recognize monthly as is received. But again, it's the same thing, the same factor. You see it at the closeout. Any questions on any of these?
Just one clarification. With regard to the VLF funds received to date, you said we did receive in January.
We do receive in January, and I don't have the exact number with.
Okay,
yeah.
thank you.
What we're discussing today are different measures that we've been doing for budget overruns. At a department head level, what you see there is basically have asked departments and at random if there's negative variances. If you review the revenue and expenditure report, especially primarily the expenditure report, if you notice that there's variances of 100 plus, or you see the negative cash balances in a certain line item, we've requested departments at random to go back and look at those items and to look at other line items maybe that they're not fully expending and making necessary budget adjustments. Again, these budget adjustments that we're requesting are not to exceed the amount of the overall budget. Basically, they're just moving with monies within their own budget. We're not increasing or decreasing the overall budget. There's no impacts. Any impacts of that nature would be brought to city council and so forth for approval. On the finance department end, we're doing the same. We do review the revenue and expenditure reports, see if we notice any line items. And then we also, at time of purchase orders, which those are any purchases over $1,000 that come to us, and we look at the line items at that moment. And if they are at negative balances, or we see that they're overcharging in a specific account, we will ask them to do budget adjustments if necessary. RDA, this is just a summary. Again, this is been a hot topic. Just according to approved budget. Again, we don't have any other revenues that we're receiving as of today, but this is what we received in December. The allocation that we did receive, which was, we budgeted 1.1 million, and what we received was 484,000, so at 43%. And then the expenditures you have there, 4 million was projected and 928,000 has been spent. With that, again, we have brought to you what the enforceable obligation payment schedule, which only lists those eligible expenditures, which you have been presented with that list to see what expenditures are actually coming through for redevelopment. The water fund, of the 6 million, there's 3.6 million in revenue to date, 60%. Expenditures are at 44%, spending 2.4 of the 5.6 million. Additional information pertaining to the water fund, something I just like to keep in mind or just remind council, there is that 1.6 million loan that the wastewater fund made to the water fund that we are still seeking. And last time we did discuss last budget cycle as well as in the near future, there would be best interest for the city then to have the water fund pay back the wastewater fund, but in its current standing, it's not able to make a payment back to the wastewater fund. It was written originally to pay back in 3 years. But that's something that the auditors have evaluated as well, and it's not healthy enough to pay back the wastewater fund. So basically, at this point, it's surviving off of the loan. Mm-hmm. Other information I just like to remind, which we do annually, try to remind council and then also the community, resident water rates that are set, and those are approved by council. Current residential rates are according to Proposition 218 of 2008. Currently, those rate increases are subject to increase by CPI, not to exceed 3%. Our last one that was done was for usage, actually, as of October 15th, 2011. So we're looking at, again, reviewing CPI for rates to increase October 15th, 2012. And yes, this is an annual increase, and it's just CPI. We review CPI annually. The commercial rates, however, are according to the 2009 Proposition 218 notice, and currently they're subject to set for a 3% increase September 15th, 2012. Then thereafter, they will be subject to CPI. And the CPI, this is what was approved within the Prop 218 notice, and again, it's not to exceed the 3%. Wastewater fund here, you see is as well, it's similar to the water fund. It's at 60% for 50% of the year, and expenditures are at 55%. So they've spent the wastewater funds at 1.4 of the 2.5. Solid waste, it's pretty much on track. Again, it's just our contract with Allied Waste. We're at 50% in revenue and 37% of expenditures. And the difference in expenditure there is the timing of when we pay out Allied, so you don't see the full impact because we do the billing at the end of the month and then we pay them the following month. So that's the difference there. And it's basically all that's going out in expenditures are direct payment to Allied Waste. An airport, here we have not a lot of activity. I know there's currently some projects, grant-funded projects for the airport fund, but currently the airport revenue is at 43% and expenditures at 36%. And that's the end of the PowerPoint presentation, but I'm open to any questions that you may have.
Are there any questions by members of the council? For City Manager, any questions, comments?
It's a good report, Ruby.
Want to thank you for presenting to us. There's no questions from council at this time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Ruby.
The next item on the agenda is information items, SCAG letter of support for City of Brawley's Climate Action Plan, Agricultural Element, and Targeted General Plan Update. That will be presented by our City Manager.
This was just an item of note since we have members of the council who serve on SCAG committees that we have received a letter of support for an application. We are seeking resources from the Strategic Growth Council. We have similarly offered a letter of support to SCAG as they pursue an application themselves.
Thank you for that update. Next item on the agenda is council member reports. We'll begin with Council Member Miranda.
I just have a few. I participated, for those of you who probably read in the newspaper, Brawley varsity wrestling team won its 12th consecutive CIF this past Saturday. Some members of the Hidalgo Society, including myself, actually I was representing my constituents here at City Council. We volunteer, we purchase, and we cook breakfast for approximately about 600 individuals that came and supported. There was about 20 teams from San Diego that also participated. We helped out on that. And I participated and also I witnessed as an honorary member of the Hidalgo Society, 90th anniversary that was held this past Saturday. It was very nice. It was nice gala. Food was good. The music was good. Everything was good. And that's basically all I have to report.
Thank you, Councilmember Miranda. Councilmember Kelly?
Yeah, I attended the Hidalgo Society 90th anniversary. It was a very nice evening. Also participated in the Norm Lassie charity golf tournament for the foundation. That was a lot of fun. There was one item that I wanted to bring to the city manager's attention, and that is the constitution or the creation of the RDA oversight for the exit. And I know that it's been discussed at the county level. I think we also need to be talking about that in the time frame of who will be appointed from public and from the council, and I'm going to also let the county know what our considerations are for who they put on our RDA exit oversight. That's all I have.
Thank you. Councilmember Campbell?
First, I want to apologize for being late this evening. I got caught up attending another meeting with a bunch of young boys called Pop Warner and have another commitment. So that's going to be fun. I was elected to be the vice president of the Pop Warner board for the coming years. So.
Wow.
I also attended the 90th anniversary of Hidalgo, and that was a nice event. And I went over to Brawley Cattle Call and watched some of that bike race that went on over the weekend, and I tell you, man, some of those folks are fantastic riders, you know. And McGill mentioned the fact about the Brawley High School boys wrestling program, and I talked to Brewer the other day, and I really think in conjunction with the high school and the city of Brawley, we should maybe try to get together and do some kind of a pep rally for those boys. I think most of them are probably going to state, to the state championship.
Saturday.
So
Masters, yeah.
the Masters, and maybe get with the high school board and try to put something together for these guys.
That's the first time that Brawley has taken the whole team, 14 wrestlers, from 106 pounder to 285. It used to be heavyweight, but they eliminated heavyweight, put 282 pounds. So it's the first time in history that I can be aware of that Brawley's taken a full team to Masters. They've taken it 12, 13, but this is the first time they've taken 14. And there's a good possibility that we might take Masters again and see some potential talented kids out there taking state.
Yeah, so with my colleagues' support, I'll give Mr. Brewer a call, and maybe we can get together and help put something together, maybe just a rally at the kiosk or something, try to get something scheduled maybe.
Very well.
But other than that, things have been okay. Family's blessed, and I thank our staff for the continued hard work, and may God continue to bless you and your families.
All right, we'll move on. Mayor Pro Tem Couchman.
Yes. Well, Friday night I attended the NRA banquet. It went off very well. About 200 people attended at the old Eucalyptus Schoolhouse. I'm part of the committee for that dinner, and so that went very, very well. They probably made quite a bit of money on that banquet. They do it yearly. It was a nice event. I also Saturday morning attended the Bicycle Classic. I went down there for about an hour or hour and a half, saw some of the bicycle racers, talked to some of the runners. I'd like to congratulate the city staff on their being down there, doing all that work, getting everything ready. They were very enthusiastic. I got to sit in a little electric car, whatever it is, and so I got to see most of the city employees in action: police, fire, Parks and Rec, Public Works. I think everybody was pretty much down there, and they were down there just looking, but they were also down there working pretty hard to make sure that event went off safely and successfully. And there was probably 160 some odd bicycle riders, and I think they get up to speeds of 40 to 45 miles an hour on that race. And so it was pretty exciting. And then a lot of people from San Diego, and I'm sure that it helps the economy of Brawley to continue to have events like that, because I'm sure there was a lot of revenue that changed hands due to that event here in Brawley. I also attended the 90th anniversary of the Hidalgo Society. They're to be congratulated for their 90-year history. That was a well-attended event, probably 200 plus people, I'm sure, and very nicely decorated. Very, very nice program. A lot of politicians there. I don't know why, but they were all there.
They're all running for office, like you.
A lot of
Ron.
judge candidates there. And that was
and
interesting.
county supervisor candidates.
And county supervisor candidates and others, and previous candidates and
That's
post candidates. There was a lot of people there, and that was a great event, and I appreciate that, and that was a good, real nice event. And that's all I have to report.
Thank you for that, Mayor Pro Tem Couchman. I was also in attendance at the Hidalgo Society 90th anniversary. It was a really nice event, and as Sam mentioned, there were a lot of local, dignitaries that attended. I thought it went very well. The speeches that were said that night were moving, and it was a nice event. 90 years of history in any organization, I think, is a big accomplishment. So, congratulations to Hidalgo Society. Also I didn't participate so much, but attended an event that was held for the young ladies that, if you remember, they came and presented before council regarding a food drive, and they were collecting donations, and we assisted in the sense that we allowed them to have locations throughout the city. Well, they were honorary mention within the USA Today ConAgra Foods program. So there was also another group that was involved at Brawley Union High School that came in first place nationwide. And I attended a luncheon just the other day with this group. And, I'll tell you, it is something because it was students from Brawley High School, and they won national recognition. They all won iPads, which was, I thought, very nice. But it was covered by USA Today. I thought that was really important because it gets that message out that things are happening, especially with the youth here in Brawley. But I also thought it was important that it was covered locally by the Desert Review, Ivy Newsday, and the Ivy Press. And the reason I bring this up is because if these local agencies don't publish that information, people don't know about it. And it's great to know that, people, young people especially, are trying to achieve something and do something positive within the community. And so they made a pretty big impact. They helped hundreds of families with the food that they raised. And so that, when you see it from that perspective, it really, it really makes you think a little bit. They talked about how, most of us probably never talk or think about being hungry. We don't have to, ever be in that position. But there are people, for example, that purchase their food for 2 weeks, and those day 12, day 13 come around, and they're really, really short on food. And so those are the people that benefited from their efforts, the ones that really were strapped for money and food in those last few days before they recycled into the next couple of weeks with their paycheck. But it was impressive to see them out there. I thought that was, a tremendous effort on their part, and I'm glad that as a council we did our little part, and I'm very happy for that. So thanks, staff, and thank you all for that help. Also, I called the police the other day, the Brawley PD, on an item. I was at one of the properties that I manage, and they had stolen some copper pipes. Mentioned it to our city manager. She's like, call the police. It's like, I don't know. It was just a little, she's like, call it so they know that, people are out there and, taking things. And so I would say, Chief Gilmore, if you could please let your staff members know we had our newest officer out there on scene, and she was being grilled by one of your officers. Valdez Arnold was out there, and he's making sure she did everything correctly. And she was really professional, and they got there quickly, and I'll tell you, they handled it with a lot of professionalism. So happy to see that. So again, thank you, staff, and if you could please spread that message down, Chief, I'd appreciate it. So that's my report, and I'll pass it on to our city manager for her report.
I'll try to keep my comments brief. Wanted to follow up on an item that was raised at our last regularly scheduled council meeting with regard to the 101 Ranch project. Wanted to share with you that this project is currently on hold, and we will be monitoring when it comes back onto the Planning Commission agenda. But for the time being, we're in a hold and wait pattern for that project for a number of topics that are to be addressed by the applicant before it returns to the commission for their consideration. Also wanted to let you know that I was contacted by the National League of Cities, of which we are a member, and they are offering to do a number of video segments on our city to feature us in a community video program. It is no cost to us to participate. We simply have to provide suggestions on locations for video footage to be taken, as well as spokespeople to participate in the video. One portion, the majority of our involvement will be to feature a number of key topics that are 4 must-have chapters and 2 that we get to choose. And the must-have are a message for newcomers, quality of life in our city. It's a number of key kind of features that they hope to cover in every city that they visit. Our only obligation, because there is a hook, the hook is that we work with them to approach local businesses that may wish to advertise services on their website. So I'll be coming to you with a more lengthy report that shows you exactly what's being offered to us. We do have some draft language. We'll be circulating it among staff before it reaches the council for your consideration. But I think it could be a really nice set of pieces that we could have access to off of our website as well. And they were kind enough to provide a number of local jurisdictions that have participated. So I'll be making contact with the cities of Desert Hot Springs, La Quinta, and El Cajon to just ask, really, was this worth your time? Are you happy with the finished product, et cetera? So that'll be coming to you.
So it's a marketing piece, in other words, right? Yeah. So.
Right. And a benefit of our League of Cities membership. To piggyback on Councilmember Kelly's remarks regarding successor agency oversight, I do have a number of letters drafted to the various entities that are eligible for appointment to the oversight body. We will be making proactive contact with each of those entities, and unless I'm off course with regard to our hope that those who are named are ones who appreciate the value and contributions of RDA and blight reduction efforts. Please feel free to send any additional guidance my way. We are receiving advice from Urban Futures on best practices or suggested methods for attracting the kind of interested decision makers in this arena. But I'm certainly open to hearing from each of you if you have any more specific input you'd like to provide. Also wanted to make you aware that it's come forward that the San Diego State University Imperial Valley campus, as well as Imperial County Transportation Commission, will be pursuing a joint grant opportunity for zero emission transportation between Calexico campus, IVC, and the Brawley campus. They'll be putting in an application to Caltrans for a planning grant and have requested that we furnish a support letter. I will CC all of the council on this letter of support, and if you have any concerns about heading down this path, please feel free to send them my way. The last item I wanted to make note of is we are scheduled for the council to receive a capacity fee increase presentation. We were tentatively scheduled for next March, the next meeting scheduled for March. However, it's come to my attention that a council member will not be able to join that meeting, and it's desired that that be pushed to the second meeting in March. So I wanted to check in with the council to inquire about the ability to push that back to the second meeting in March, with the caveat that if you wish to pursue implementation, there would still be a minimum 30-day notification period.
Great. Well, thank you for your update, Rosanna. Any comments from our city attorney?
And tonight.
From our city clerk?
No.
None? Well, I want to thank you all again and appreciate your patience earlier with the closed session item going first. So we're going to adjourn to Tuesday, March 6th, 2012 at 6. Thank you.